I've lived multiple years in Asia, America, and Europe, and what's cool about this is that the cultures from these places are so different, and I'm just very grateful to be able to just take the best parts from each culture and build a better life for myself. And I'm not just talking about superficial stuff like food, fashion, and language, but stuff that fundamentally changes the way you behave and your mindset. So I thought I'd share one thing from each of these cultures that has really shaped who I am today. If you want to see more videos like these, feel free to subscribe and smash that like button. And without further ado, let's get into it. The most important thing I learned from living in Asia, specifically within the Chinese-Malaysian community, was how to handle people's egos. Because of the Confucian values in East Asian culture, if you're a younger person, people often don't take you seriously. They won't give you respect, they'll talk down to you, and they'll always treat you like you don't really know what you're talking about. In most places in the world, this would just be considered outright disrespect, but as a younger person in Asia, you're just expected to sit there and take it, because you should be grateful that an elder is even bothering to share their wisdom and experience with you. I fought against this a lot when I was growing up. Like, I would always try to push back and try to make them understand that what they were saying was kind of ridiculous. But eventually, I realized that no matter how good your argument is or how much sense you think you're making, some people just don't want to hear it. A lot of older Asians can't even comprehend the notion of entering a discussion or a debate with an open mind. Like, they don't even consider the possibility that they might be wrong and that they could actually learn something from someone younger than them. They're just dead set on imposing their values and their worldview on you. Like, it's all a question of ego. You could say that it's like this anywhere else in the world, but based on my experiences, I'd argue that this is so much more severe in Asia. At least in all the years that I've lived in the West, I've never had anyone disrespect me or not take me seriously just because I was a younger person. Anyways, my experience in Asia taught me that the Western approach of openly questioning things and arguing your case is actually far from being the most effective approach in a lot of situations. In fact, it's actually better to make it seem like you're going along with what they're saying, because the only way that you're going to get these older Asians to change their minds is through more subtle or indirect means. Also, because of the concept of face in East Asian cultures, if you openly question or challenge someone, a lot of people would just interpret that as you trying to humiliate or embarrass them. And this just makes them shut down from even wanting to see the point that you're trying to make. So that means you've already lost. Growing up in Asia, this sensitivity to other people's egos is something that was basically drilled into me, and it's actually benefited me a lot as an adult, even where I live now in France. French people can be quite difficult to deal with because they're so much more likely to push back even on the slightest thing. Arguing, debating, contradicting people, it's something that's just ingrained into French culture, and thanks to that, I could see very clearly how much all of the managers and bosses that I've had in France liked me for not operating that way. For example, I never make it seem like I'm pushing back on the workload or on how they want me to handle a certain task, for example, but this is something that the average French employee would definitely do. That doesn't mean I blindly go along with whatever they say though. It's just that instead of contradicting them straight up and saying stuff like, "No, I don't agree, here's why I think you're wrong, and we should do it this way," I try to make my point in a more subtle way and ask them questions and make little remarks here and there to kind of steer them in a direction I want them to go. This really drives home what I learned growing up in Asia. It's not necessarily what you say, it's how you say it. And even if something doesn't end up happening the way I wanted it to, I don't put up a fight. I just go along with it. Nothing new. I think this is a big reason why people like Asians in most places around the world, because they think we're humble. But really, it's just that we're conditioned to protect the feelings and egos of everyone around us. Even if we don't like something, we'll just put up with it and keep it pushing. It's not always a good tendency to have, especially in your personal life. A lot of Asians don't know how to set boundaries because of this, and I actually made a video about that. But at the very least, it helps us out in society by making us more pleasant to be around. Next up, America. By far the most important thing that anyone can learn from American culture is the courage to do your own thing and the optimism to believe that it'll all work out no matter what. No matter what people say or how cringy they might think it is or how risky something might be on paper, you just go for it anyway. How you dress and present yourself is a part of this. Like, at least in the big coastal cities in America, you could dress up in the most ridiculous outfit and even walk around half naked, and no one's gonna bat an eye. Unlike in Europe or Asia, where everyone would just stare and judge the hell out of you. But this is just a small part of what I'm talking about. The point I'm making here is that Americans don't second guess themselves when it comes to trying something new and unconventional, like getting on social media or starting a business. In my case, it was this YouTube channel. Sure, there's a chance that it might fail if you want to be realistic, but I never really thought about that nearly as much as I thought about what I could do to make this all work out. Because the American mindset is that fundamentally, anything is possible. On the other hand, the average European or Asian is way more likely to psych themselves out, thinking that it's cringe and that they don't have what it takes. They'll think about the million reasons why it won't work out, and they'll decide that it's just more realistic to focus their time on a proper job because it's safer. They create so many conditions for themselves, whereas for the average American, it's not a big deal at all to teach ourselves and figure stuff out along the way. There's a reason why cross that bridge when you come to it is an American expression. We just go for it and try our best to make something happen, no matter how little we might have in skills or resources to start with. As an American, I can't fathom the French mindset of needing a million formations before you feel like you could take on something new. Like, you can just learn by actually doing the thing. Why are you imposing so many barriers on yourselves? Also, why are French people so scared of something being cringe? Yeah, if I really think about it, as a YouTuber, plastering my face on all these thumbnails and looking stupid on camera is kinda cringe, but I get to connect with millions of people online and make a living out of this, so who cares really? The more I travel and live abroad, the more I realize that individuality, optimism, and risk-taking are traits that are widespread only in America. Even though I didn't spend a lot of time growing up in the US, I'm very grateful that I still got to have this mindset instilled in me somehow. It is kinda sad though to see how much everyone else around the world limits themselves, but oh well, at least there's less competition for us, right? Last but not least, Europe. I've been living in Europe for 4 years now, and the one thing that I've really taken in is the absolute importance of making the most out of life at all times, especially when you're young, instead of waiting until retirement or some arbitrary date in the future before doing so. Most younger Europeans I know travel way more than their Asian or American counterparts. They go out and socialize way more during the week as well, and it's so much more common to dedicate time towards hobbies like dancing and learning languages. Obviously, there are circumstances that make this much easier in Europe. You have laws that protect work-life balance, the highest number of paid vacation days in the world, things that make low-cost travel possible like budget airlines and hostels are so much more common here, and most activities don't cost much money at all. But my point is, what all of this showed me is that you can live your life to its fullest right now, even if you don't have that much money. It's not something that you have to postpone and grind so many years for. A lot of Asians and Americans I know put way too much importance on work, to the point where they let themselves get consumed by it. Like, they don't really have the impetus to pick up hobbies and learn new things outside of whatever immediately concerns their job. They take one measly vacation a year where all they do is mindlessly consume just to take the edge off, and then they get right back on the hamster wheel. Putting all of this time and energy into work and sacrificing so much is justified because they're saving up for their retirement, because only after retiring will they finally be free to do whatever it is they truly want. In Chinese, we have a saying, 先苦后甜, first bitter, then sweet. And I think this explains why so many people are willing to work so much and put up with so much bullshit, because there has to be some kind of reward at the end, right? But the problem here is that no matter how much money you have later on, you'll never be able to experience life with the same joy and freedom that you had in your 20s and 30s. Plus, you're gonna have much less neuroplasticity to learn new things as well. I'm seeing this happen right now with my dad and grandma, two of the hardest working people I know, and whenever I ask them what they want to do when they retire soon, they'll tell me, I don't know. Okay, so what do you think about traveling to Japan or seeing the Northern Lights in Scandinavia? No, I have to walk so much and my knees can't take it, my back hurts, I don't know the language, I'm gonna be so lost, what am I gonna do there? I might just stay home and watch TV. Okay, so what you're telling me is that after grinding for a lifetime and depriving yourself of so many experiences, you're just gonna sit there at the end and rot away? You're not even gonna try to learn anything new with all this free time? I mean, I guess I can't be surprised, because if you didn't know how to make the most out of life all those decades before, how can I expect you to suddenly know how to do it now? The sad thing is that in Asia and in America, this is how most people's lives play out. And seeing this in contrast to how people in Europe live made something very clear to me. The European way is so much closer to the right way to live, at least for me. And I'm saying all of this as a person that works a lot. Like, I have my solo business teaching French online and doing YouTube videos like this, so I definitely spend more time working than I should. I'm not exactly the perfect example, but living in Europe has at least taught me to rein myself in from becoming a total workaholic. And even when I'm working, I'm constantly thinking about picking up new hobbies, which city I'm gonna travel to or live in next, all the people that I'm gonna meet, all of these beautiful experiences in life that I'm missing out on because of all the time that I put into working. So even if I'm not making the most out of life right now, there's always at least this big sense of urgency in the back of my mind that I should be. Before I moved to Europe, I don't think I really had the awareness that life is happening right now and that you don't get to save it all for later. I'm just really glad that moving here has really changed the trajectory of my life in that sense. Alright, so those were the most impactful things that I learned living in Asia, America, and Europe. A French dude that watches my videos actually came up to me in Clermont-Ferrand the other day, and he told me how much he really likes this style of video where I talk about cultural differences between France and the other places that I come from. To be honest, I've low-key been burning out and running out of inspiration lately, so if you happen to be that French dude and you're watching this video right now, thank you so much for reminding me why I do this. You directly inspired this video. Let me know what you guys think about what I said in the comments below. I always love reading what you guys have to say. And until next time, have a great rest of your day. Bye guys, love you.